How's everybody doing? What's going on, guys? How's everybody doing? Looks like the notifications are working out quite well. Everybody's showing up on time. That's pretty cool. What's up, T. Moeller, Meat Man, Gentle Cattle, Spetscom? Yeah, these are pretty salty. These are pretty good, man. Got some good ocean water in there. Love oysters, man. This is one of the few foods that I actually crave. Oysters and milk. A couple pretty common foods that I crave. These are big oysters, too. Excuse me. So, I've been off meat. I quit meat for about 3 days. I've just been eating a lot of milk, cheese, eggs, butter, cheesecake, stuff like that. And I feel pretty good, man. I like this whole new plan of skipping meat for like 2 days a week and just eating a lot of dairy and stuff like that, you know? Makes a lot of sense. And Augenus actually recommended doing that. He recommended skipping meat for a couple days a week and just eating like smoothies and a little bit of fruit, a little bit of milk, a little bit of dairy, a little bit of cheese, stuff like that. So yeah, I find that I feel a lot better, and I wasn't craving meat at all. I just skipped meat for 3 whole days and just I wasn't craving it at all. I was just eating a lot of nutrient dense food, you know, not so much calorie food, but nutrient dense food. Because whoever commented on my channel and said that bears would eat like a lot of meat and then they would just kind of fill themselves up on berries and like I don't know what else they said, but it basically made sense, like lower calorie stuff. Like once you fill up on high calorie food, then you can kind of lay off the calories a little bit and go back to nutrient dense food. Makes a lot of sense. And if you pay attention, you might find that you don't really crave meat that much. You just kind of crave nutrients, you know? Not necessarily muscle meat. What's up, Meat Meep? Society Salvaged. What's up, Eat Raw Meat? Glad to see you made it, man. Quit meat for 3 days, vegetarian exposed. Yeah, I know. I'm thinking about going vegan, guys, for a while, because I've done the whole carnivore thing. I've done the raw primal thing. I think it's time to try out veganism for a while. So I'm going to take my channel in a whole new direction, and I'm going to go vegan. So that's what this stream is going to be about. This is going to be all about veganism and how it's good for the environment, good for the animals, stuff like that. Just kidding, guys. Just kidding. What do I think about blood twice a week? Try it out. See if you like it. I mean, it's not gonna hurt you, but you got to think about how often would we have access to blood naturally, you know? Don't overdo it, but it's definitely good stuff for you. Like every vitamin is found in there. Yeah, chickens are good for meat and eggs for sure. It's a good supply as long as they're pasture raised. It's good stuff. Pretty easy to raise too, as long as you got a little grass. Mm-mm. Some oyster shells in there. Good stuff. Loner love bites. How much fruit do you eat? What fruits? How do you eat them? I eat at the most. I eat about one fruit per day in the spring and summertime. Sometimes two, but very rarely I'll eat two fruits. But usually one in like the afternoon or something in between my meals. Excuse me. And then as far as what fruits I eat, I love oranges. Oranges and kiwis have always been some of my favorites. And grapefruit. I love eating grapefruits. And then berries. I'll eat strawberries, raspberries. I love raspberries. My favorites are probably oranges and raspberries. But I also like grapefruit quite a bit. And then, of course, there's pineapple and watermelon. I just kind of go with what I crave, you know. If I haven't eaten watermelon or pineapple in a while, I'll go buy a watermelon. And I'll eat watermelon for like a week. And then I'll eat pineapple for a week. You know, just, I like to rotate it. But I'm a big fan of fruit. Like, I love that stuff. The only thing I can't eat anymore is grapes. I used to be a big fan of grapes. But the outside of the grapes, like the skin of the grapes, ever since I got on this diet, it doesn't taste right to me. They're doing something to the skin of those grapes, even the organic ones. Yeah, I saw that you had oysters too, Chicken Char. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I work at a construction company, Jew Sheckelstein. I skip meat a few days a week. Yeah, it it's amazing. Like every once in a while, I have the urge to fast and just completely skip eating food. And I think what my body is wanting to skip is actually meat. Now that I'm starting to do this, just eating dairy for 2 days a week. You got burned by the pizza. I was wondering, man. Chicken Jar says, dude, I ate pizza 3 days ago. Worst decision ever. I'm still backed up from the pepperoni pizza. Had bad dreams the first night, really dark dreams. Don't eat shitty pepperoni pizza. Lesson learned. Hey, you gotta find out sometimes the hard way, you know? Someone told me one time, sometimes in life you gotta figure out what you don't want to figure out what you want. Yeah, I remember you telling me about that, and I was the first thing I thought of was gluten, because I'm pretty sure gluten is linked with nightmares. Carrot juice. I've never had carrot juice on this diet yet, but I know that it's a little bit higher in sugar, I believe. So you might not want to drink a lot of that stuff. But I have not looked into it a whole lot. I haven't looked into the juices a whole lot yet. How to heal from hay fever. Have you looked into the We Want to Live book? Look up hay fever. I'm not even sure what hay fever is. Is that just allergies? Bianca says, why do you think some people fail on this diet? Where do they go wrong? I was extremely constipated. I think fundamentally why people fail on this diet is a lot of it is discipline. A lot of people just lack a discipline and motivation. Motivation is a big one. I've always been really motivated to get down to the truth of things, no matter what it is. Like I do that with everything in life besides nutrition. I always try to get down to the bottom of stuff. And so that's my motivation in life, is to like get down to the bottom of the truth of everything. And so there's motivation, there's discipline. I've always been pretty disciplined when I put my mind to things. Like I can be extremely disciplined. And so I just applied those two things to this diet, and that's what kind of got me through everything. But what comes along with those things is like doing a lot of research, and what comes along with the discipline is a lot of work and reading and talking to people online. You know, I've been talking to people for like 2 years about this diet now, and I've learned so much about it just from talking to people. You know, I don't learn this stuff from reading books. Yeah, I read We Want to Live. Yeah, I read Weston Price's book, but you know, those are mostly just entertaining, and they mostly just kind of reinforce what you already know. You know, We Want to Live is pretty eye opening, but they kind of reinforce what you already know about this diet, and it's really simple stuff. You know, you just eat raw meat, drink raw milk, eat raw eggs, etc. There's a lot of different reasons why probably some people can fail. Those are the main ones. Some people's guts are like really messed up, like the prior vegans and stuff like that. And so they're unable to digest multiple foods at a time. They have to literally eat like one food at a time, and they can't handle some foods that we can, you know. So there's a lot of that. There's extremely damaged guts. Stop people from getting into this. But mostly it's just kind of absorbing yourself into the community, kind of like I have, and I mean, honestly, like, yeah, you got to kind of just you got to get tips from people about stuff. You know what I mean? Like the constipation thing. Like, easy way to get around that is like eating more butter. If you're eating too much cheese, it'll constipate you, but you got to eat some more fats, eat some more butter. That will kind of relieve it a little bit, you know. But money is a big roadblock that stops people from being successful, because this can get a little bit expensive if you get into the more expensive foods, like grass-fed meat. You know, I buy the quarter of a cow and it still comes out to $8 a pound, $7.50, $8 a pound. My butter, this butter is like $15 a pound or something. It's ridiculous, but it's freaking good, and still nutrient dense. Thanks for the super chat, man. Del Bridge, very generous. How to bodybuild naturally. Do we need a brain to have a mind? If not, is the mind transcendental? Thoughts on anti-aging supplements? Is it all nonsense? Bodybuilding naturally on this diet is pretty easy. You'll notice your body's going to look a little bit differently than normal bodybuilders that are on like a lot of supplements and carbs and stuff. It's more of like a leaner, muscular look, more of like kind of just a natural man type of look. But you can easily do it on this diet, man. I found that it was a little easier on milk and eggs and a little bit of fruit, a little bit of carbs and stuff to kind of give you a little bit of boost before the workout. But you can do it on just meat and like butter if you want. But it's a little bit easier if you throw eggs and milk in there. That'll help you get more muscular. Then just start lifting, man. Just lift every day. Like, I find that when I lift on this diet, I can lift every day. I can lift till I don't have any more energy left, basically, and I just go to bed, my body rebuilds itself, and I'm ready the next day, you know? And I'm in my mid-30s. I'm not even, in my mid-20s where your body is rapidly healing itself, you know what I mean? Like, so this diet will naturally put muscle on you without even lifting. And if you lift, it'll get you huge. Do we need a brain to have a mind? I look at the mind as more of like the soul, you know. The brain is more of like the organ. It's like a computer processor. The mind is more like your soul in a way. I think the brain's separate from the soul. So you don't necessarily need a brain to have a soul. I think it's separate. It's like a separate entity. Thoughts on anti-aging supplements? Kind of depends on what you mean by that. Like if there's like skin anti-aging creams and stuff, if they're made out of the right stuff, like Augenus has some like, I think, facial skincare products and stuff that are made from like coconut creams and I think stuff like that. I haven't looked into it that well, but it makes sense. You can put like butter on your skin. You can put milk on your skin. That'll kind of reduce aging and stuff on your skin. But for the most part, supplements outside of like natural foods and stuff like that are probably going to have some toxins inside of them. You know, they're going to be made in laboratories and just, it's all kind of nonsense if you're eating like a natural diet, because aging is going to, you know, premature aging comes from eating the wrong foods, being on drugs, medications and stuff like that. If you just get off all that shit and just start eating a natural diet, then for the most part, you're not going to notice aging, you know, and you're not going to premature age. Rebecca says, are you going to start a homestead? Yeah, I definitely want to start a homestead for sure. That's one of my big goals that I want to do. I don't see any other way of living, you know? I'm really tired of living in the city. Like, I can't even open up my window on a Saturday or Sunday afternoon without someone like running their weed whacker or leaf blower or lawnmower or wood saw, or someone just, you know what I mean? Just like, it sounds so arrogant, but it's just like the sheep, the suburban sheep, you know what I mean? Doing their lawn work, doing their deck work, doing their housework. And maybe it's not so much the fact that they're sheep, but it's the fact that we're all so crammed together. All the houses are crammed together. But I see like people that focus too much on their lawn and stuff like that are definitely like brainwashed, big time brainwashed. It's just grass, you know what I mean? But yeah, I can't wait to get out of the city, man, because it's too loud and we're too crammed together. I need like space between me and my neighbors, you know? I'm blessed to be living in a house with like a big yard. At least I have that, you know what I mean? So I'm not complaining about that, but it's still not enough. I don't know how people do it, man. I don't know how people live in the city without going crazy. This meat's been dry aging in my fridge for about 5 days. It's got a nice little crust on it. Rebecca says, thoughts on makeup. It's a good question. I think makeup on women, if done the right way, can make women look undoubtedly like more beautiful, but it's fake, right? Too much makeup looks ridiculous. You look like a clown. It's probably toxic, you know, so that's something to consider. But I think on special occasions, I think makeup looks really good on a woman. You know what I'm saying? But to put it on like every day, all day, seems a little bit absurd for sure. Blazing Hogs, what's up, man? My beef and pork sales going up. Nice. That's good to hear. Yeah, people are starting to wake up, I think. Going to the supermarket and seeing that meat's running out, it's like, better start going to the farmer. Getting it direct. Yeah, Eat Raw Meat says you got 16 pounds of butter. Nice. I usually buy about 10 pounds at a time. Stuff is good, man. This cultured butter is like significantly tastier than regular butter. And I believe it's probably better for you too. I mean, obviously because it's cultured, but it just feels better for you. But it's so tasty, man. I think butter, raw butter, is like one of the key components to my health over the last 2 years. Just because of all the stuff that Ogenes says about it, all the stuff that Weston Price wrote about butter. He wrote tons of stuff about butter, man. He thought there was like this like activator X compound. I'm still really confused on that chapter. But he wrote about this like activator X, like secret compound in butter that he was isolating that had some sort of significant nutritional impact on people. There's a lot of interesting stuff in butter, man. But he recommended buying butter in June because that's when the sun's out and that's when the grass is good and the nutrients are pumping and stuff. So just a FYI, if you want to stock up on butter from like a organic farm or something like that, buy a bunch in June and then just like put it in your fridge or freeze it, because that would be, in my opinion, frozen June butter would be healthier for you than fresh December butter. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm probably going to do this year, is in July I'm going to wait a month. So I'm going to wait for them to like make the butter in June. And then in July or end of July, I'm going to make a big order of butter. So there's a good chance it would have came from June cows. So I'm trying to be strategic. I actually learned some pretty, like the Weston Price book was like a 500-page book. Like the thing is, if you read these books, like you're going to come out with like a handful of things that you can apply to your life. And two really important things that I learned was buying June butter and then also not drinking milk with my meals. I started drinking my milk after my meals now. And I find that I digest everything better. So I was kind of wrong on that. I shouldn't be drinking milk with my meals. Meep says, I wonder why our farts smell like boiled eggs. I think it has something to do with sulfur. Eat Raw Meat says, AV Ogenes mixed water with honey and filled it in a spray bottle, natural hairspray. That's interesting. That dude, he knew everything, man. It's almost funny, you know, how much stuff that he knew. I heard him one time talking about shaving with milk. Instead of shaving cream, he just put milk on his face. And he's like, it's the best thing I've ever discovered. I was like, God, that's just crazy. Shaving with milk, washing your hair with eggs. It's almost a joke, you know? Like all this stuff in the supermarkets, like they're trying to sell you shampoos and face wash and stuff. You can just like rub food on your face. It does like a 10-time better job. Chicken Jar says, how does that dry aged meat taste, man? Can you do a little description of that Gordon Ramsay style? Yeah, I wish I could. I never actually watched Gordon Ramsay. I've just seen clips of him like freaking out on people. So I don't really know his, I can't imitate his voice very well, but it's like, delicious, man. It's delicious. The fat is not so dried out. It's actually still got some moisture left in it. The outside is not really hard. It's just got like a layer, like a semi-hard, thin little layer on the outside, but you can easily chew through it. And the taste, it's pretty mild, you know? It's similar to just straight raw meat. I kind of like the energy that I get from dry aged meat though, because I feel like it digests easier because it's almost like pre-digested. And you get like a little, I think, bacterial pump from it too. Cole Slice says, I think that Activator X later turned out to be vitamin K2. Okay. Interesting. Um, Matt F. Lately, I've been heating my raw cow bison fat up to 100 degrees. It is so much tastier than at room temp. My guess is that's because that's around the temp at which the animal is slaughtered. Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with heating up your food up to 100 or 105 degrees because that's the temp of the animal, you know? Like I read someone on Instagram that I think it was one of the Milky Art. I think it was Milky Art. He was upset that his cheese was heated up, you know? But I don't think that's a big deal because if you're heating the milk up to 105 degrees to make cheese, that's the temp of the animal. That's the temp of the milk when it came out of the animal, right? That boy Wes has some glowing skin. Wes used to be pale, dude. Yeah, I believe I was probably like anemic, for sure. Yeah, my skin's definitely got better on this diet, for sure. It's all that raw collagen. Blazing Hog says, last year I sold 9 whole beef. This year I got 11 and probably 5 new customers in the last 2 weeks. Dude, you're blessed, man. You're so blessed to be in the occupation that you're in right now, man. You know, you couldn't be in a better position. That's great. Wish you were a little bit closer, man. I'd get some beef and some hogs off you. Israel says it's hard for me to shower without shampoo. I feel greasy as hell. Went from using it 7 times a week to 3 now. Are you on this diet? Try a raw egg, man. Like you'd be really surprised at how clean a raw egg gets your hair. It's pretty crazy, man. Bianca says this for commitment. It didn't really feel like it since I really enjoyed eating only animal foods. I was never vegan or vegetarian. I don't know where did I go wrong. Have you faced any digestion issues? No, I've had no digestion issues on this diet. Besides every once in a while, like normal diarrhea and stuff like that. Just every once in a while, your body's trying to kick something out. But no, my digestion is like near perfect right now. So you'd have to tell me what you were eating every day for me to gauge possibly where you were going wrong there. I have no idea who you are. Are you new to streaming on YouTube? I was wondering if I streamed with no videos or subs, would people find it and watch? I may be mistaken, but I think you need a certain amount of subs to stream. I think you need like 100 or 500 or 1,000 subscribers to stream. I may be wrong though. Chicken Jar says, yeah, I learned that no milk during meat meals and no veg juices during meat meals. Within an hour of eating animal products, I just had a reason for everything basically, and it all makes sense. Yep. But he said certain people, like a rare percentage of people, could drink milk with their meals, and I believe that I am that person. But even being said that, or that being said, I still digest my food better just eating just meat by itself first. Caleb says, I thought so, but I heard from Primal Diet Forum that dry aging kills bacteria and enzymes. Honestly, I don't know, because it does pull the moisture out. So, but you would think that it would actually increase the bacteria, because it's almost like making high meat, isn't it? It's like almost like a high meat. Should I air out high meat? I heard both yes and no. I always air my high meat out, so I would say yes. Comes out really good too. Gentle cattle cheese shouldn't be heated above 102. Cow's normal temp is around 101.5. Okay, that's good to know. I thought it was around 105, but Blazing Hog says, thank God I'm a country boy. Many blessings to you, brother. You too, man. I'll be a country boy pretty soon, man. I'm a city slicker, but I got some country boy blood running through my veins. Like my dad's uncle. He's got a farm in Iowa. I got some farmers real close to me genetically. It's definitely in my bones. I mean, my name, my full birth name, when you look up the meaning of names, my full birth name translates to man from the West that is in charge of the farm, which is pretty interesting. Miguel says, my diet is pretty bad right now. I don't want to talk about it. LOL. Let's hear it, man. What are you eating? This is confession. Public confession, man. Let it all out. Matt F said, I accidentally had a steak at 106 degrees the other day. I couldn't tell the difference in that room temp. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's all going to be pretty trivial when it comes to detecting the difference, but supposedly it's going to kill, maybe kill some more bacteria and stuff. Eat Raw Meat says, in Germany you need a license if you want to stream regularly. Are you serious? A license? Are you joking? Chicken Jar says the Old Testament's called eating milk and meat together, bathing the baby in the mother's milk or something. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I've actually seen that verse. Dry aged meat is good, man. It's pretty tasty. This was actually just done in my fridge on a rack. You'd be surprised at how good you can dry age meat just throwing it on a rack, This isn't even in my actual dry aging fridge. This is in my actual, just like, my kitchen fridge. Randy says, hey, I got family in Iowa too, Alamaki. My family's in Carroll. Paris says, thoughts on raw, grass-fed, grass-finished liver, taste, and how much can you eat per day? I just got 10 pounds. Eat however much you crave, I would say. That's what I did when I first got liver. I would get like a few pounds at a time, and I would just eat half pound one day, half pound the next day, half pound I would just eat a bunch and then go off it for a little while and then eat a little bit more. Taste is pretty good though. I like the taste of it now. I actually gagged for a while when I ate that stuff, but I got used to it. Martin says, I've been eating more raw fish and chicken, less red meat, and I found a huge increase in my energy levels. That's interesting, man. That's crazy, eat raw meat. Germany is fallen. What happened to Germany, man? The motherland is fallen. Rebecca Brew, have you ever thought about what you'd like to name your future kids if you have any? I think naming is so cool for some reason. I haven't thought about it too much, but it would definitely, if it was a son, I like very traditional masculine names, you know? I'm always cool with Weston Jr. too, because my name's kind of weird, so I'd be down for that, but I like very traditional masculine and feminine names. I've always liked the name Clint. Clint is a pretty cool name. Clinton. Gentle cattle, what does dry aged meat taste like versus fresh? Um, I don't know. It's got some different flavors in there. I have a hard time detecting flavors. You know, it's not so much. I don't know. It definitely tastes different, though. I have a hard time describing flavors, articulating them. But one thing I know for sure is it feels like you get like a different energy off of dry aged meat. And I think it's because it's like pre-digested in a way. Germany died in 45, that's for sure. Do you have German blood? Yes, I do. Definitely. Lots of German on both my mom and my dad's side. German, Scandinavian, and some British and a little bit of Irish. And lots of Neanderthal. Yeah, I'm probably 75% German or something. Snap, crackle, fizzle. Have you been working out? I have been working out, definitely. I've been lifting a few times a week. And then I rode my bike today, too. Cold Slice, I have trouble recognizing hunger signals sometimes. I'm hungry, but for junk, not raw foods. Did you experience things like that, Wes? Yeah, sometimes. Like, I kind of know what you're talking about. Like, if you're talking about, like, cravings, a lot of times I just crave stuff like milk, honey, fruit, oysters, very specific stuff like that. I rarely crave eggs. I rarely crave butter. I rarely crave red meat. But I crave cheese quite a bit. I crave a lot of cheese, a lot of milk, honey, fruit, and berries. Those are like the five things, like my five food cravings, and oysters. So, not necessarily junk though. But like sometimes, yeah, I know what you mean. Sometimes I'll crave like a pizza. Like I still get that every once in a while. Pizza. If I think too hard about drinking like a Dr. Pepper or something, sometimes I'll like really crave like a Dr. Pepper. But that's usually when I haven't eaten in a while and my body just needs some energy or whatever, or needs some like sugar. But yeah, I know what you mean, man. I'm like 21 months into this diet and I'm still figuring out like cravings and stuff. I think it's because we spent most of our lives um, going backwards on our intuitions, you know, like rewiring our intuitions and stuff. So we gotta get back to our natural intuitions and cravings and things like that, and it's not easy, man. I'm still just kind of learning, you know. Like I'm 21 months into this, and I just figured out that I'm not supposed to eat meat 7 days a week. That I should only eat meat 5 days a week, and the other two just do a lot of eggs, a lot of cheese, milk, butter, you know. WT says, all hail Germany. That's right, man. The motherland. Jacob Gabriel recently got a fishing rod. Free fish from now on. Cool, man. Careful about that fresh water, though. Those freshwater fish, man. A lot of times they got a lot of pesticides and agricultural runoff. Next time someone asks you what it tastes like, just say finger looking good. That's the best way to describe it. It's finger looking good. Eat raw meat, Germany starter kit, refugee welcome sign, vegan food, bicycle, vaccine syringe, and a hate for German people. That sounds like a nightmare, dude. That sucks. Dry age tastes funky, umami. Yeah, that's not a bad descriptive term there. A little funky. Blazing Hog says, "How about a woman named Carol Baskins?" I don't think I know who that is. Snap Crackle Fizzle. I watched your old workout video. It popped up 9 months ago, 9 months or something. Yeah, I was going off and on for a while. I actually quit working out for 3 months straight this year, just as an experiment. And now I'm back to it. I definitely feel better lifting weights, man. It does something. There's definitely a very noticeable like hormonal response, testosterone response, mental response. It helps me sleep better. I'm probably going to work out tonight actually too. I love it. ALK says, cravings for junk is the junk leaving your body fat and going into your blood. It'll go away. Interesting. Diogen says, do you have vegetable juice? Not yet. I'm not against it though, but I'm still, there's just a lot to this diet, and I already have like a lot of money invested in this diet too, you know what I mean? Like I'm already spending like 20 bucks a day on this stuff. If I were to do vegetable juices, that would like even cost more money, and then I already have a juicer, which is the good part, but then I'd have to spend like extra time juicing every day, so I'm not quite ready to adopt more responsibility on this diet considering how good I feel now. But something about like celery juice and like stuff like that actually sounds really good, you know what I mean? Because I did a lot of like green juices and stuff before I started this diet. I fell into that whole vegan bullshit trap. I was eating lots of raw vegetables, lots of green juices, just all that stuff. I had a whole cupboard full of like flaxseed and cacao powder, and just I went down the whole trap. Johnny Hendershot says Dr. Pepper is the goat soda. Dr. Pepper is the best. Yeah. I wonder how many subscribers I would lose if I just started drinking Dr. Pepper on my streams every day. It's just almost not good. It's good enough for a relapse. Cherry Dr. Pepper, man. Now you're talking. Eat raw meat says Dr. Pepper tastes like ass. What? That is blasphemy, my good man. How dare you blaspheme the doctor like that? Diogen says, I'm good. We are planning to GTFO out of here and have the project in a more free country. Randy says, detoxing heavy metals, for example, coming off a vegan diet and removing all the copper with the high amount of zinc in red meat, will aggravate candida and make you crave sugar and carbs. Interesting. Miguel says, anyone know what's the easiest way of making cheese from raw milk straight out of the cow? You can do it. I think you can just like hang it up in some cheesecloth or something, or I think you can just let it sit and let it curdle, and then strain it out. But if you want to heat it up slightly, you can throw some animal rennet, a couple drops of animal rennet in there, and then heat it up slightly, stir it around a little bit, and then let it coagulate, and then cut it with a knife into curds, and then basically just strain the curds out. It's about that easy. Paris says, also any advice on becoming aware of all the false information around us? I'm stuck between just keeping my mouth closed to the people around me because they are so set in ways, care, and want to help. The best way to do it, I think, is like getting a channel or a podcast or a radio show and just blasting it out into the ethereal. And hopefully the people that need to hear it will hear it. But I'm a firm believer that only God wakes people up. We can't wake people up, you know? And most people are asleep. Probably 99% of people are asleep. There's like 1 out of 100 that are lucky enough to wake up to all of the lies and stuff in the world going on. And so if you're one of those lucky people that wakes up, the first thing you want to do is go try to wake everybody else up. Everybody knows what that's about or what that's like, you know? If you've ever had any sort of major wake up in your life, you want to just tell everybody about it. Like, look at what vegans do. They think they're waking up to some amazing diet and they go tell everybody about it, you know? So you want to save everybody, but not everybody's ready to be saved, you know? Like, people, like, God will let people just suffer. God will let people watch their loved ones die, watch their pets die, watch their children die before they wake up, you know? People can watch these things happen throughout their life and still not wake up. So it's truly up to God whether or not he's just going to let you suffer the rest of your life and just be stuck in the dark and asleep and watch everybody around you die and suffer and you suffer and blah, blah, blah. Or if you're lucky, he'll wake you up and you can do something about it, you know? So it's just, you got to have patience, you know, when you're exposed to the truths and a lot of truths in life and you're woken up from a deep slumber like that. You just have to be patient, and it can be very lonely and isolating because you're looking around and everybody else looks like a zombie and you feel like, how much better would the world be if everybody was awake like you? You know what I'm saying? So it just, you got to be patient and just let people wake up on their own. But what you can do in the meantime is just use your mouth, use your brain, use your mouth, use your spirit, and just start talking about it. You know what I mean? And you might get lucky and grab a couple people that need it, you know? But the number one thing is never just being quiet, you know what I mean? When you're in the face of lies or when you're in the face of someone speaking lies, you got to speak the truth out against it. That's one of the hardest things I think for people to do. A lot of people are not confrontational. I've always been a person that's kind of seeked conflict, but I'm really passive when it comes to violence and things like that. But I've always been drawn towards conflict because it's always attracted me in a way, because I believe that's where the truth lies, is within conflict somewhere. There's some truth in there. And a lot of times to mine for that truth, you have to engage in some conflict a little bit, you know? You got to be tough, and you got to go into the battlefields of knowledge and truth and get the real truth from the, you know, that's being hidden from you. And a lot of people are, they're afraid to correct people, or they're afraid to speak the truth around people that are speaking lies around them, you know? And I just became pretty fearless when it came to that after I started this diet, because I started realizing that everybody's so backwards on nutrition and stuff like that, and vaccines and things like that, you know? That's the number one thing I'll never shut up about is vaccines. When someone tries to tell me, oh yeah, you know, I got a vaccine today, or I got a flu shot today, or we're taking the kids in to get shots, I'll be like, what are you doing? Why would you do that? There's no proof in the world that vaccines even stop disease. How do you know vaccines stop disease? Have you looked into it? I love challenging the way people think. It can be very awkward and it can be confrontational, but the more you do it, the better you get at it. And there's about a 99% chance the person won't listen to you. But you just never know if that person has heard that very same message 10 times and then you're the 11th person to tell it to them. It may wake them up. A lot of times this stuff, when you get these messages out to people and you just keep reinforcing it, you know what I mean? That's kind of what starts to slowly crack into people's brainwashing, is when they start hearing these things over and over and over and over again. So just speak the truth through repetition. Are metals like potassium, magnesium, iron good for the body? Yeah, I think so in certain amounts. I know too much iron is not the best for you. That's why I started cutting my red meat out and I started actually donating blood. Chicken Jar says, yeah, the craving thing is a hard one. It's like bringing a dog that's been on the leash all his life to the country. It won't leave the porch unless he sees other dogs do something. Why only eat raw meat for 5 days? I don't think you need muscle meat 7 days a week. And it actually gives your digestion a break, I find. I found the last 3 days when I quit raw meats, my energy went up. And I feel like my skin actually got a little clearer, my eyes got clearer, and my digestion got a little better. I actually felt myself digesting food again. When I eat raw meat every day, a pound every day, I feel like my body's just like concrete. I don't feel any digestive noises or movements or anything. But when I quit meat for 3 days and I just eat like milk and eggs, I can feel my body working through some things. You know what I mean? It actually like kind of reboots my digestive process. And there's no evidence that humans ate meat every single day. You know what I'm saying? In fact, there's more evidence that meat was like one of those things that you ate periodically throughout the week. When people are talking about detoxifying heavy metals, what exact metals are they talking about? Probably mercury is a big one. Aluminum. It's two I can think of. Oh, Tiger King? Yeah, I've heard a little bit about Tiger King. Sounds interesting. Ethan Snyder says, do you watch Sverige? Yeah, I watch Sverige, man. Sverige was a big inspiration for me. He's what got me to... He really helped me start eating raw meat and gave me the courage to try it out. His channel was a big influence on me, man. Johnny Hendershot says, I tried telling my friends and family and I get hit with the typical racist or conspiracy theorist. Yeah, I got hit with conspiracy theorist by my little brother, man. It actually kind of stung a little bit because he's like one of the more open-minded people that I've known. My family's really open-minded, and it really did kind of stink when my family they didn't understand what I was doing. They don't know what I'm doing. They don't get it. They don't see like the magnitude, of what I'm doing. They don't understand. They've had all these crazy invasive surgeries and stuff like that, and they feel like shit all the time, and the family's been riddled with depression and anxiety, and it's like, hey, you guys think it's any coincidence that I skipped all that stuff? I just skipped right over it. Yeah, conspiracy theorists, I got hit with that one when I was talking about vaccines. I was like, you guys don't even freaking know what you're talking about. Like, you guys don't even realize that vaccines is most likely what killed my dad. And I'm sitting here trying to find out a solution to that, you know what I mean? And they think you're crazy. Reza says, hey bro, I feel you Capricorn and some Libra, right? I'm actually Cancer. Chris Parks, thinking a lot about virus and disease not being contagious. It's not, dude. It's all an illusion. It's an amazing illusion that's duping everybody. So much of this world is an illusion, man. Like, there's even more profound illusions than that. Like, the virus and disease illusion is that's not even the tip of the iceberg, man. Your entire physical reality is an illusion. Everything that you see is an illusion. This is all an illusion, man. Everything. Israth, does Christianity talk about any foods other than meat? Like, what other foods we should eat? I don't know that much. I haven't cracked into the Bible, and I don't really study the scriptures and stuff. I more so have like a personal connection with God, so I don't know too much about that. Chris Parks, I remember giving chicken pox to my father. I don't think you do. I think you remember having chicken pox, and then you remember your father having chicken pox. But what you're sort of making up in your own head is that you gave it to him. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like you don't have any evidence that you actually transmitted it to him. You don't have a video of the chicken pox flying through the air and landing on your father's skin and then burrowing in and then giving it to him. Like, you know what I'm saying? You don't have a video of that. You don't have a picture of it. There's no evidence. It's all in your head, dude. It's all an illusion. Chicken pox is, seasonal, and it happens to people that are living in the same environment. When you're exposed to the same toxins, you're going to use the same virus to get the same toxins out, Chicken Jar says, fish settles the nerves, beef helps rebuild. Chicken and fish, mostly with chicken, a little bit of red onion tastes great, but dry aged beef and onion tastes like sausage every day. Eat raw meat. Of course we like conflict and violence. Humans are killing machines, or we're killing machines. Yeah, we're definitely savages, for sure. People forget that. General Cattle, how often you donate blood? I donate as often as they'll let me. I'm actually doing an experiment right now, and I'm monitoring my hemoglobin levels through the blood agency. So basically when you donate blood, you get like a free blood test. It's pretty cool. So I found out that I didn't have AIDS, which is awesome. I knew I didn't have AIDS, but you get a free AIDS test. And even though AIDS is a scam, I'm just joking about that. AIDS is totally fake. It's just all malnutrition. But I let them, or they let me donate I believe it's every 3 months. So I just go in there every 3 months. I give them like a pint or whatever. And then what's interesting is I'm noticing my hemoglobin levels slowly going down. And so that's one of the reasons that I went in there, is because I was starting to get a little concerned about the hemochromatosis, the iron overload stuff, which is through genetic testing they can figure that stuff out. But I actually have one of the genes for hemochromatosis. And so I started suspecting that maybe it was affecting my energy levels and stuff like that. And I didn't want to get into any situations to where I had too much iron in my blood and it was like affecting my body. Because according to the research that I've done, and I don't know how real this stuff is that I read, but it's kind of all over the place that too much iron in your body is like not good for you. And it kind of makes sense. You don't want like a bunch of metals everywhere, like too much of it, So I'm just doing an experiment, and I'm slowly lowering my iron levels in my blood by donating blood. It's like a very easy, foolproof way to do it. And I'm also getting a free blood pressure test, a free iron test, a free pulse check. every 3 months. So it's pretty cool to kind of watch that stuff. Kind of, my blood pressure's getting better, which is interesting too, as I'm donating blood. Meatman says it's required that all aged care workers and visitors get the flu vaccine before being in a car facilities. In Australia, a registered nurse quit after 10 years because of the mandatory vaccine. Gotta get all that yolk out, man. Gotta suck it hard. Al K says true indigenous people would eat mostly fat with some meat. Makes sense. Chicken Jar says, yeah, you need to get into veg juices in the morning, man. You'll see the difference. You mean like celery? Like celery juices? Or what kind of veg juices? I know, WT, I know a vegan mother who literally give her any vaccine out there, 10 to 20 vax per kid. She talks about it like it's nothing. These people are very far from awake. It's just gross. I just gross people out. It's interesting. Whole slice, high protein, little fat is a recipe for hard poops. That's true. Thoughts on sun gazing? Yeah, every once in a while, look at the sun. You know, there's nothing wrong with it. I think it's probably good for you. I've always enjoyed looking at the sun. Like, even before I heard about sun gazing, I always knew that, like, I had to see the sun in order for... It felt like almost there was something in my brain that didn't get activated when I didn't see the sun. So I'd see it for the first time in the day, and it would kind of wake me up and get my dopamine going and stuff. So there's definitely something to that, man. Chicken Jar says eating too much meat makes the body overly acidic. Interesting. Kind of makes sense. General Cattle says, I understand you 100%. People think I'm crazy for eating the way I do and for my beliefs. Yeah, I know. It's like, I had that reaction from my friends and family and stuff. And at first it like kind of makes you mad at them or something, you know? And then now, I don't know. I just have this like confidence that I never had before in my life. And so, I don't even worry about it anymore. You know what I mean? Like, I don't care if those people never talk to me ever again, because I know that this is the solution to living with no disease in your life, no mental illness, no physical pains, no mental neurosis, no doubt, no worry. I mean, there's other things you have to do in your life. You have to, forgive all of your transgressors in life, anybody that's betrayed you, anybody you have resentment towards. You have to give that stuff away, and you have to forgive them. That's stuff that's going to hold you back from getting any kind of peace in life, you know. But once you go through that, get all of your past trauma, work through all that stuff, which I did. As I was kind of on this diet, I was working through all of my kind of past trauma and stuff. And now that I'm beyond that, I'm past all of my, all the crazy family stuff that everybody has to go through. Like, now I'm just like, now it's just between me and God and my diet, and like, it's just, I have this confidence that I never had before. Like, when I first got into this diet, I wasn't very confident, because I was fresh off of like being polluted for 3 decades from food. So you kind of have this like suspicion towards food when you first get into this diet. You're like, I don't know what's really that good and what's the best and what's not good, and just, so you're kind of experimenting around and things like that. But I've been doing this for 21 months straight, and I've never been burned by this diet. I keep getting stronger and healthier more confident, more optimistic, you know, things that you just can't really get. You just can't get that stuff in life. Like, you can't just like go to a bubblegum machine and like put 25 cents in and get optimism and confidence. That's stuff that you have to like really work for, you know what I mean? And I have that now. So the people that don't believe what I'm doing, the people that think it's weird, or the people that think that they don't need to do it because they're special or something, it's unfortunate, you know? It's unfortunate that they think that way, but like I said, you can't wake everybody up. And that's one of like the big paradoxes of getting on this diet, is that it wakes you wide awake. Like, you're way awake. And the first thing you want to do is try to wake up all your friends and family and save them, you know, save your tribe. But you can't. It's like, and so then you learn patience. Then you learn that you have to be patient and lead by example, be a living example for the people around you, and just hope that they wake up someday, you know? Randy says, right, reality doesn't exist. The earth literally is a playground and life is about having fun. It's more like Snap Crackle Fizzle says life is an illusion. Yeah, that's kind of more the truth there. We're actually just spirits. We're not actually these physical bodies. Like, we're actually a spirit inside the body. And so the whole physical body is an illusion. This whole physical realm is an illusion. And we're actually existing inside of like a spiritual realm. But everything you see is here as an illusion, as if that is the only thing going on. But there's something going on right underneath all of this. There's something going on inside of you that's underneath your body, which is your spirit. And there's an entire spiritual realm that exists right here on earth. So that's kind of like the illusion that's going on here. And it gets a lot deeper than that, but it's the basic explanation. Johnny Hendershot, people say we're weird and crazy for eating the way we do, yet I've never seen one person who says that look healthier than I do. LOL. I know, isn't that funny? And the more you get on this diet, the more sick and unhealthy people look. You ever notice that? And I try not to judge people anymore. Like, I used to kind of judge people and be like, oh, they don't, you know, they're eating like shit. Look at them. Look at all those potato chips they're eating, blah, blah. But now I just like, I feel bad for them, you know? It's almost like when I first quit smoking cigarettes, I smoked for like 10 years. When I first quit smoking cigarettes, I would see people like outside shivering in the cold in the wintertime, like smoking on their little cancer sticks, you know? And I would just be like, oh my God, look at those dumb people, you know? They're dumb. How did they not get the memo that cigarettes are bad for you? You know what I mean? Like, how do people not get that memo? You know what I'm saying? How did they miss that? So yeah, and then now I just kind of go, oh, I'm lucky to have woken up to that, and I'm lucky to have been able to quit smoking. So I don't really judge those people anymore. And people smoke around me and it doesn't bother me or anything like that. And it's getting that way with junk food too, you know? At first I was like, oh, look at these dumb people eating their junk food. But now I don't look at it that way anymore, you know what I mean? I just look at them like normal people, just like I was, you know what I mean? And I just feel lucky, you know, that I've been able to be lucky enough to eat this kind of really good food, man. It's like, there's no better way to live. Life is so simple. Yeah, germ theory's never been proven, neither has gravity, I agree. What's up, Cryo? Meat Man, thoughts on science? It's literally man-made, right? Completely pointless. Yeah, pretty much. So is mathematics. Mathematics is retarded. John, does anybody have any advice for coming off levothyroxine? I went raw primal 6 months ago and I want to come off. I have a thyroid nodule that is not growing. I know Ajahn has said quite a bit of stuff about thyroids and thyroid medication. I want to check We Want to Live on that. Maybe start listening to some of his lectures. But thyroid nodule that is not growing, right? You're probably, I mean, you're probably going to be best off. Don't take medical advice from me. I'm going to put that out there. But if it was me, I think my body would do much better off of medication and just eating a proper diet. Snap, crackle, fizzle. Do you feel better when you donate blood? I do feel pretty good afterwards. Yeah. It's hard to say if I feel better, but I feel good. The raw milk that one day is giving me mad amounts of diarrhea today. Interesting. Anyone had mono, the kissing disease? Got it when I was 18, but of course I was drinking, eating. I suspected I had mono a couple times. Mono or chronic fatigue, all that stuff. Yeah, quote unquote. Like it's probably just, yeah, like you said, I was doing the same thing, drinking and smoking weed and eating Taco Bell and just drinking Dr. Peppers all day, smoking cigarettes. Of course I felt like shit. Rebecca, I've heard that you can only get too much iron from supplements or an absorption issue. Yeah, so the absorption issue I think comes from that hemochromatosis genetics thing. So apparently like people from my genetic line of the Northern European, Scandinavian descent, we have this like ability to, some of us have this ability to absorb iron in like much more so than other people. And I think that's some kind of adaptation maybe to get us through wintertime or something. I don't know quite what to make of it yet, but I definitely have one of the hemochromatosis genes according to 23andMe. And I definitely had hemoglobin levels that were on the high end of the spectrum. So there's a lot of evidence that I was eating too much iron. I was absorbing too much iron. So Snap Crackle Fizzle says, I was going to die the last 3 years. All I see was spirit in everybody. My adrenals were busted. I have seen too much. I know what you mean. Yeah, I know what you mean. I think when you get to near death like that, it can get you in touch with the spirit realm and you start seeing like the spirits in everybody. And then you come back and you start reporting your experiences and people think you're going crazy. Cole Slice says, if people genuinely ask me about my lifestyle, I'm willing to answer with my beliefs. Information that falls upon unopened ears is useless. It is. It definitely is. That's why I like doing these live streams, because I like interacting with you guys, because I feel like it accomplishes a little bit more. It's almost like a conversation. It's kind of almost like a podcast between me and you guys, where we're all talking about this stuff together, you know? It's not just me blurting my views on a microphone, ranting about raw meats and telling everybody they should eat it. What are you doing, you know, morons? You gotta start eating raw meat. What are you waiting for? That really, yeah, it doesn't really do much. But I think people genuinely do get more out of this type of like interaction, you know? Rotten Meat Jar, what's your opinion on people spending their last few years on the planet doing Satan's work just to pay for it right after they die? Spending their last few years on the planet doing Satan's work just to pay for it before they die. Well, they're suffering for sure. I mean, they're paying. I don't know if I necessarily believe in hell after life, you know, but I think that they're probably going to be in hell right now, you know. So they're paying for it as they live, for sure. They're suffering as they live. Paris, do the eggs you purchase have soy-free, corn-free diet? Yes, they do. Yep. And I get my eggs delivered too by my friend who has a farm. I'm pretty lucky, man. I got a lot of good food hookups now. How much would you say your skin, your vitality, your overall state of being is now compared to before? What used to be your diet? My diet before, I've always been like health conscious, and I've always gone in and out of like I got really into like weightlifting in my 20s, and so I got really into like the high protein diet. And so like over 10 years ago, I was like on the high protein, eating lots of meat. I was eating like 200 grams of protein a day and stuff like that. But I've always eaten like vegetables and fruits, and I've always had like a variety in my diet. That's the thing. I always knew that there was something to the variety thing, so I would always try to eat like a variety of stuff. But right before I started this, my diet was basically in the morning, I would wake up and have like 2 boiled eggs, a bowl of oatmeal with raisins and cinnamon, and I think that's it. Maybe a glass of juice. I would have like a big glass of juice. That would be my breakfast. And then for lunch, I was starting to go to like the grocery store quite a bit, and I would get like chicken, vegetables, mashed potatoes. And I've always eaten like real hearty, you know what I mean? Which is why I think my body was able to recover so quickly, because I've always had eaten this real hearty food. I've always been like a steak and potatoes type of guy, right? But for dinner, I would always eat like a cheeseburger. I would always go to like get like takeout, or go to like a decent fast food place and get like a nice greasy cheeseburger. And I would never get like a pop. I quit pop like over 10 years ago. I would always get like an iced tea with it. And I would eat like fries usually. So I was eating a lot of fries. I was eating a lot of like potato chips, a lot of junk food at night, because I was like basically just smoking weed every night. And so I would eat like a lot of potato chips and cheese. I would eat cheese every night. I would eat a lot of olives. So I don't know, my variety was pretty crazy, right? But I was eating junk food, let's put it that way. A lot of junk food. But sprinkled in there was some good stuff, which is why I didn't like turn into a complete piece of shit, basically. But I was trying to kill myself for sure. But way too many potato chips, way too many cookies and sweets and stuff like that. I had a big sweet tooth. Hey, what's up, Kylie? I saw your message about thyroid. Yeah, John, you should try eating thyroid for sure. Raw thyroid. Maybe order some from Miller's Farm. That's a good suggestion. Raw primal is the way to go, definitely. Science should just be experiments that you yourself can do. The whole idea of scientific consensus with BS crep studies is the problem. Yeah, well, at its core, science is like it's a godless institution. And so the whole idea of science is to make you think that there's no creator, there's no grand designer, everything was random, came from the Big Bang. You're meaningless, you came from monkeys. The whole thing is, it's a big soul sucker, man. It's all intellectualism, and it's not spiritually based, it's all about intellectual stuff. Which is all ego. Intellectualism is all ego based. It's all based on your pride. Matt says, wait, are we saying science and math are dumb? Yes, dude. Science and math are retarded, man. This is coming from a guy that got straight A's in science and math. It's retarded. I mean, learn the scientific method if you wish, and apply that to your own experiments if you want to on raw meat and butter and stuff. But what's the point? You already know it's the best diet for you. You don't need science to get your wife pregnant. You don't need science to raise children. You don't need math to have a family. You don't need math to have a relationship with God. You don't need math to run a homestead, You can build a barn with very, very basic math. You know what I mean? You might have to add a couple numbers together, but you don't need calculus. You know what I'm saying? It's just, you got to really think about it. You know, it's all man-made stuff. It's all man-made by our education system. It's a bunch of people that have missed the point in life, and they've gone way too far into the weeds. And that's basically what most science and math is today, is you're wading in the weeds when the point is like way behind you over there. Does sunbathing your balls increase your testosterone? I've heard that. I actually instinctually used to do that. Don't ask me where or when I would do it, but I actually instinctually used to do that. My body told me to do that one time. I was like, you need to start sunbathing naked for some reason. Soft goat cheese, yes I have. It's really good. Gentle cattle, when you say only God can wake someone up, that is so true. It's almost pointless to try and explain things to people because they are so conditioned and caught up on wanting to show you that you're wrong, right? It's almost like, yeah, their ego is preventing them, it's blinding them from seeing the truth. And also, it's almost like we don't have the power to wake people up, you know? As much as you think you do, we don't have the actual power to do that. We can just transmit information. Rebecca Brew, how did you work through your trauma? I listened to a lot of Jesse Lee Peterson. I basically worked through the majority of my trauma by taking the advice of Jesse Lee Peterson, man. He's a very, very profound individual. And if you have any sort of like family trauma or anything like that you need to work through, he's the guy to go to, man. He's the guy that'll help you do it. But for the most part, it's about forgiveness. It's about forgiving your mother and father, basically, because we're all brought into this world perfect, and then we're basically like ruined by our parents. Unless you're lucky and you had perfect parents, which is possible. I believe we can be perfect. But most of us are ruined by our parents. So you go through life sort of putting your parents on a pedestal. Usually people put their mother on a pedestal, and then a lot of times... Or they'll resent their mother and resent their fathers. You know, it just kind of depends on their situation. But a lot of times people don't wake up to the fact that they resent their parents until they're like in their 30s or 40s or really late in life. And that's been a big reason of why they are the person that they are, you know, is because they've resented their actual parents or their mother. A lot of times it's the mother. Because the mother is the kind of the sacred cow in today's society. Like, you're not supposed to go after the mother, criticize the mother, or anything like that. But a lot of times, the mother corrupts the children in a lot of ways. And so people resent their mothers, and they go through life resenting their mothers. And so forgiving your mother is huge. If you have any sort of resentment towards your mom, you got to go to your mom and forgive her to her face. So basically, face your fears. Face anybody that you resent. That's the big part of it. And then once you face the people that you resent in life, then that spirit that was inside of you, that anger, leaves your body and it goes away, and you just become free. You know, that's the short way. Blazing Hogs, I'm going to still send you that Berkshire ribeye pork chop into September, bro. Dude, I'll gladly take that. And I'll eat it on live stream for sure. That would be awesome, man. You send me something, I'll send you something back for sure. Snap, crackle, fizzle, that's not a bad diet though, for real. Yeah, and I was eating a lot of bread too. I forgot to mention that. Lots of bread. What kind of keyboard do you have? This is a Keystation 88. It's an M-Audio Keystation 88, which I don't use nearly enough, man. What's up, Iron Saxon? Cole Slice, you still eat cheese every night, right, Wes? Mostly during the day now. I don't get those night munches anymore now that I quit smoking pot. which is another thing that everybody should do. Pot. Pot is not that good for you. Pot's a medicine. Chocolate chip cookies are bomb, especially homemade cookies with raw butter. Oh man, I never made cookies with raw butter. Now you're getting me hungry. What's up, buddy? You guys want to say hi to my dog? You want to say hi, buddy? Can you say hello? That's close. Did you hear that? That was a good one. That was a good one, buddy. I'm trying to teach him how to talk. Let's see how well that works. You being a good boy? You gonna go outside or what? You just wanna hang out? You wanna hang out on live stream? This is like the most alert dog I've ever seen in my life. I know a lot of people say that their dogs are the best dogs, but this guy is so alert. Like his eyes are just like always on you. Like always on you. There's so much intelligence behind these eyes, man. Right, buddy? All that raw meat to make you a smarty pants, huh? Yeah, you're a good buddy. Snap, crackle, fizzle. Okay, still an alright diet. Yeah, like, I was never like totally retarded with food, you know what I mean? Obviously. That's why I was able to adopt basically the perfect diet, because my body recognized it as true right away. My body, I've always been like on the path of nutrition, let's put it that way. But I've always had like a really good intuition for food, you know? I've always been, like I said, a meat and potatoes type of guy. I always would eat like a lot of tuna. I was always a big tuna eater, you know, just like, I was never big on like eating a lot of sugars, a lot of candies. I never ate candy and stuff like that. I always knew that was terrible for you. What's up, Danny B? Yes, I got trimmed up. Trimmed up the old beard, shaped up the beard a little bit. Have you noticed any eye color changes lately? I actually have, P. Miller. It's very interesting you ask that. Yeah, my eyes are getting a little more blue, for sure. They're going from green back to blue, back to my original color. Very interesting, man. Meat Man, don't you think it's kind of messed up how parents will force their kids to stay at the dinner table until they finish eating their healthy veggies, like laughing when a baby spits out vegetables? Satanic. It's freaking weird, isn't it? It's very weird. Dude, I used to smuggle vegetables in my napkin and go to the bathroom and flush them down the toilet. That's how much I didn't want them. Like, I always hated peas. I was like, what are peas? Randy says, you live in the Midwest trying to find a source of raw butter. I pay up to 12 pounds. Dude, there's no raw butter around here. You got to either make your own or get it from the Miller's Farm, the Amish. Randy says, LOL, veganism and pot takes me back to my psychosis days. Damn, another super chat from Dell. Dell's making it rain over here. Thanks, man. Another $10. Some people say certain humans should not have children. Do you think that is true? Probably. There's probably some evil people out there that I think are not capable of raising children, and they would probably corrupt them and make them suffer, you know? I would say that's probably, to a certain extent, if you're an evil person, you know, probably not the best idea to raise children underneath that kind of hell. But other than that, I think, yeah, most people I think are capable of raising children. It's not that hard, you know what I'm saying? It's not really that complicated. You got to be a good example and show them love. Show them logic and order, you know? Why are some humans so underdeveloped to wisdom? Trauma. Trauma's a big part of it, you know? We're all exposed to trauma. It's just how you react to it, you know? Some people react to trauma by closing up and going inside of themselves. and hiding from the world, hiding their spirit from the world. Some people react to trauma in the opposite way. They shine bright, they shine brighter than anybody around them. It just depends on how you react to it. But I think a lot of people react to trauma in the first way and they kind of close up and become blocked off to truth and wisdom. So their spirit becomes blocked from the actual truth in the world, I think that's a big part of it. And a lot of people are traumatized by their parents from very, very early on, and they don't realize it. They think their parents are perfect, but really looking back on it, they weren't, And so this trauma it's so deeply ingrained that they just become blind and they can't wake up to wisdom, What causes mental illness? I don't know what to say about mental illness, because a part of me thinks that mental illness is like a scam, because it's like a scientific description in a way. It's like a psychiatric thing, and I don't think it's mental illness. I think it's spiritual illness. I don't think there's such thing as mental illness. I think it's spiritual. So I think when you're calling it a mental illness, you're distracting from the actual cause of it, or the actual root. And the root comes from the spirit, which comes from trauma, basically, or evil, So I think it can all get traced back to trauma and to evil. But when you call it like mental illness, basically you're putting a biological description on it, which leads you back to science, which leads you to medication, which leads you to false ideas, like there's such things as imbalances, neurotransmitter imbalances, and just stupid stuff like that, which has never been proven. There's never been proven that people actually have serotonin and dopamine imbalances. They don't know how to measure that stuff, so how could they know it? You know what I'm saying? There's no proof that antidepressants work any more than placebo. In fact, they've done studies where placebo actually works better than antidepressant medication. So I think mental illness is a scam. That's something that was revealed to me over the past year. But I think your body can start, like your organs, like your brain organ, can start operating on a suboptimal level when you're not feeding it the right nutrients. Almost like when you're giving a car the wrong type of gasoline, on a very basic physiological level, But for the most part, I think mental illness is, it's masked, and it's really spiritual illness. And it comes from basically not having God in your life. Do you believe in Christ consciousness? Yes, I do. Yeah, I believe Christ is a frequency, and it's something that every man can access. And I believe that it's a higher state of consciousness that allows you to see the truth and the wisdom in the world, and allows you to love everybody. And it shows you forgiveness, and it shows you how to drop your pride and drop your ego. And yeah, so I think it's basically what Christ is. I think Christ represents a spirit, and it represents a higher state of consciousness for sure. Because you see people accessing it in many different ways. And I think that's what the Bible and Christianity was basically pointing towards. It wasn't trying to get us to worship an actual human being. It was trying to get you to realize that you can access this very same consciousness that this supposed Christ figure that existed had. And it's trying to point you towards that, you know what I'm saying? So, good questions, man. Let's see. P. Miller says peas are a crime against taste buds. That's For sure, dude. I'm trying to catch up here. Have you ever seen the effects of carnivore on a female? I wish I could start, but it's way beyond my means for now. Living in South America, no quality anything. Um, yeah, look at Astraconlu. Look up her channel. ASRACONLU. She's a very attractive lady that is on carnivore, and you can just tell that her diet is radiating through her physically. Organite? I have no experience with organite. I'm not sure what that is. Spectre Bond, primary benefits of raw butter. It's really nutrient dense, and it's, I think, the most easily digested form of fat. So it's a good way to get fat. Rebecca says, wow, yes, the eye thing. Both of my mother's parents had the most blue eyes, and hers changed to green through the standard diet. Mine were very blue, then changed to green, and now with diet are changing back. Yeah, isn't that interesting? That's the same thing that happened to me. Mine were super blue, then they went to like sea green, and now they're coming back. So, interesting stuff. Should we work out? Do you still work out on this diet? Or is it too stressful? Yeah, I do work out. And yeah, if you want to. Like, if you want to lift weights, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I personally really enjoy lifting weights. Not too much, though. You know what I mean? Just like a few times a week. And I love riding my bike, and that's, I don't know, that's just more for like entertainment or more from just joy, you know what I mean? But sometimes I ride my bike for like 40 miles, and I was never able to do that before I got on this diet, so my endurance went up like crazy. But don't push yourself too much, and just if you find yourself sitting down quite a bit or just whatever, you might want to get out and do a little workout, you know, because basically our modern lifestyles are, they're designed to kill us, you know what I mean? So you kind of have to work out. Will Owen says, looking good, man. Thank you. I'm feeling good. I keep feeling better and better and better on this, just life is good, man. If you could, would you rather live on ice cream cookies or ice cream cake? Probably ice cream cookies. I've always been a cookie guy. Peanut water creates an unquenchable thirst. One orange and I'm good for the day. That's a good point. Danny B, people act like mental isn't a part of the body in the same way as heart or leg. Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's basically just an organ, you know? Like, I believe in, like, organ illness, like brain illness, you know? Like, but the whole mental illness thing, that whole phrase, I think is describing something way different, you know? Like schizophrenia and stuff like that, I believe is 100%, like, that's a spiritual trauma, for sure. Those people were, like, almost undoubtedly 100% of the time, like, abused and stuff like that, you know? Rebecca says, I've lived it. Mental illness is related to gut health. Anxiety, depression, things like that are caused by a damaged gut. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, you may not see it, but I see this, and a lot of other people see this as a truth too, that when your spirit becomes sick, then it can manifest itself into physical disease. It probably sounds crazy. Maybe it might sound crazy to you, and it might sound crazy to some people, but there's a lot of theories out there that point towards this, and I've actually kind of seen this, and I believe this is something's manifested in my life too. If you notice, if you pay attention, as your spirit becomes more corrupt, your physical body becomes more corrupt. So you got to question yourself. on what causes what. You know what I'm saying? It gets pretty interesting. Like I said, a lot of this is an illusion. This world is an illusion. This physical world is an illusion. A lot of these physical problems we have are an illusion. This pain we have, the physical pain we experience, is an illusion. And it's actually a symptom of a spiritual problem. But that being said, I think when you get on a proper diet, it can heal some of the physical damage that happens, you know, from not eating the proper nutrients and things like that. But I honestly think that the nutrient thing is a minor variable and the spiritual thing is the major variable. Because if you notice, there's some people that live in the world that their spirits are beautiful, right? Their spirits are shining bright, burning hot. There's nothing wrong with them spiritually. But they look like really physically unhealthy, and you wonder how they're doing it. You know what I mean? You wonder why they're so happy, you know, fat and happy, eating junk food every day. It's really interesting, man. You start to see how once you heal the spirit, it can heal the body in a way. It's very interesting how it's tied in together. I just encourage you to think about that a little bit. Della Bridge says, I wanted to off myself for so long. I just hated how evil this world was. Especially when I realized I was contributing to it on a micro scale. Yeah, man, that's why you got to get on the side of good, you know? Once you start fighting for good, things start to look more optimistic, you know? Gut microbiome health and mental health are linked. Yeah, I think they're probably slightly linked, like I said. But I think there's a more of a root issue. Randy says, you have that beard your whole life, or especially after Raw Primal. Yeah, basically after Raw Primal I started growing it, basically. Astro Conlu is stuck in quarantine on a tropical island. No shit. I remember her saying that. She's still there? Jeez. What a nightmare. At least she's on a tropical island. Steve says schizophrenia is a processing issue, overloaded information, spiritual crisis, as some would say. Here's a couple interesting things about schizophrenia. People in America, schizophrenics in America, they typically hear negative voices in their head, whereas schizophrenics in like Africa and different countries, they hear positive voices in their head. And schizophrenia in America is stigmatized as you're crazy or you have a mental illness. Whereas schizophrenia in like a tribal situation or like in places like Africa and stuff, you're looked at as like special, and you're looked at as you have a connection with the spiritual world. And so I've actually known a couple people with mild schizophrenia, and they were like really, really smart people in a way. You know what I'm saying? Like they definitely had like a gift. There was like, I've known a few people actually, more than two. And they were very gifted people. And so that's why I don't believe in mental illness. I don't believe schizophrenia is a mental illness. I think it is actually like a gift that someone has that they're born with that is like squandered or abused through being called something that it's not. Through being raised in a world that doesn't look at it as a spiritual world, you know? There's too many people in this world that look at the world as a physical realm and not a spiritual realm. And I think a schizophrenic is someone, this is just theory, but it just makes more sense to me. A schizophrenic is someone that is in tune with the spiritual realm, more so than the average person. And they're incapable of transmitting that wisdom to other people because it's blocked off. they're basically shut down and shunned and mocked and shamed. And so they're basically like abused. So they're like gifted people that are like abused. And so I think it creates like a splitting. That's what schizophrenia means, is split mind. And so I think when you abuse a gifted person, it creates a split in their mind, and that's what creates the actual problem that you see. But I think schizophrenia is more of a symptom of abuse than an actual like condition you're born with. Rotten Meat Jar. Frank promotes salt, supplements, and cooked barbecue ribs. Do you think it's ungodly to be gay? Yeah, definitely. God does not want you to be gay, for sure. That doesn't make any sense. If everybody was gay, the human population would be extinct. So, it doesn't make logical sense to be gay. I don't judge gay people. Whatever. If you wanna sin, go ahead and sin. You know what I mean? But just be aware of what you're doing. You know what I mean? What the? KO says, I think I understand what you're saying. I thought I was in disagreement with you, the mental health topic, but I agree. The illusory part is deceptive because a lot of it is, but everything isn't. Yeah, it's really hard to articulate this stuff, and I'm not like very well prepared, but I do have these ideas down pretty good. Like I think I understand this stuff. What's up, Natural Ace? Cole Slice, I unsubbed from Frank a while back. Watched a bit of his most recent video today, and he looks terrible. Yeah, he's kind of a train wreck for sure. That his whole live stream thing that got exposed was like one of the funniest things I've ever seen on the internet, man. Just hilarious. Embarrassing too, man. I felt really embarrassed for him, you know? Like, everybody on the internet saw him doing the most embarrassing thing you could ever do to yourself as a man. It's just unbelievably embarrassing stuff. You can't ever recover from that. KO, can I ask if you believe a God created everything that exists? Yes, I do believe in God for sure, and I believe in one creator. Now, who created that guy? That's where my brain explodes. So I'll give you that. That's a really hard one to ask or answer. WT, Frankie is very against the raw tard community because he sells frozen meat and other cooked items. Yeah, he's strange. He's a flip-flopper, man. I don't think he's a guy you can trust for true wisdom and information. He's too young, you know? The guy's, I think, at least 10 years younger than me. And I got 10 years of wisdom, life wisdom on him. And, I mean, I was just as retarded, not just as retarded, let's not push it that far. But I was pretty retarded when I was 25 or whatever, how old he is. And if I did a YouTube channel when I was his age, I would be super embarrassed of myself, of just the way that I was, and just, I don't know, just, I was probably more narcissistic like him too and stuff. So, I don't see his channel lasting very long, you know what I mean? I think it'll last a little while, you know what I mean? But his channel's not going to last like more than like 10 years. Like, whereas I think as long as YouTube doesn't delete me, I see my channel lasting at least like 10 years, you know what I mean? Because I'm in here for the long haul. I'm in here to not embarrass myself and say things that I regret later on, you know what I mean? I'm very careful about what I say. I'm very careful that I'm like prepared before I come into these streams to just, I'm confident in what I'm talking about. Frank's not very confident in what he talks about. He kind of goes back and forth on stuff, and he's just trying to kind of make money on his, he's trying to make a name for himself, you know what I mean? Whereas I'm not so concerned about that. I've already made a name for myself, in life, in my personal life. I've already, I've climbed the ladder. I've climbed the social ladder. I've climbed the financial ladder. I've had years where I've made very good money, and I have nothing to prove. You know what I mean? So he's got something to prove. He's young, and that part of him I understand. So, you know, to a certain point, I look at him kind of like my retarded little brother. Like, I understand him to a certain extent. So we'll just give him some time to hopefully wake up and not be so arrogant. Shamanism is frowned upon in Western culture. I know, it's ridiculous. Samuel Adams says, I've noticed this pattern every time I eat raw egg. Abdominal pain followed by cravings for certain types of fruit, which quickly diminish the pain. Any ideas what's going on here? Interesting. I've never had that from raw egg. Are you sure the source is quality? I mean, egg is supposed to be the most easily digested food. So, that's a good question. Raw egg is basically minerals, vitamins, protein, cholesterol. You might have some kind of gut permeability or some kind of gut intolerance to egg. I mean, it's possible you could have some sort of damage, sustaining damage from your previous diet, maybe. And then the enzymes from the fruit help you digest it or something. I don't know, man. That's an interesting question. There's a lot of questions that I'm not able to answer that like Augenus would probably have like an answer for right away. But that's something to think about. I'll think about that one. Yeah, dig. Yes, oftentimes schizophrenia is caused by drug use, and drugs activate the higher mind, which is tuned to the spiritual and is regularly non-active. Have you heard of Tim Leary? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I've heard lots of Tim Leary. Or heard of him. Schizophrenia used to be in bread madness. You got schizophrenia from eating too much grain food, which is a seed. That's why people go crazy for bread. Yeah, I've heard that. It's called breadhead. Definitely. But I still don't think bread caused it. You know what I mean? It may be like a trigger, but there was some sort of underlying issue, like spiritual damage going on there. Because like people can get schizophrenia from like witnessing a violent episode of something. You know what I mean? Just from like going through one extremely violent thing in their life, they can have that happen. So, you know, there's some kind of trauma going on there. You know what I mean? Rotten Meat Jar says, I trust my senses not to be gay. Yeah, it's a good way to go about it. P. Miller says, Frank has just become no better than the pharmaceutical industry and sugar and grain industries by lying to sell product. I know, and it's interesting that he always talks all this trash on Sean Baker. There's just like stupid little feud between him and Sean Baker and stuff. And it's just like, they're like crabs in a bucket, dude. Because they're both not doing it 100% correct, you know? Yeah, they're healthier than the average person, but they're not eating the natural human diet, which is raw foods. We're not meant to cook our foods. It's logical, man. You know? You kill an animal, you eat it. You don't go cook it. You don't cook fruit. You know? It's just, it doesn't make any sense. You don't cook milk. It's all raw. It comes straight from God raw. And yeah, you can assure yourself that anybody that's trying to sell you something, the minute that I try to sell you something, you can guarantee that I have become corrupted. And like a lot of you guys probably know, it took me a lot to even monetize my channel. I asked you guys what I should do. I did a poll. one day because I was really on the fence about monetization. I don't like being tied to advertisers and stuff, and I don't like people advertising their stupid shit on my channel. You know what I mean? I really don't like it, but I'll take their free money because you guys talked me into it. You know, you swayed me to do it because the money does help me keep doing this channel. So whatever. But yeah, you're not gonna see me selling you like knives or something. You know what I mean? Like buy my raw meat knives. I've already been approached by people that wanted to advertise on my. They wanted me to advertise their shit on their channel, and it was like seasoned and salted meats and just stuff like that. And I just didn't. I didn't want to advertise it. You know what I mean? So I passed on all that stuff, and I make money through my job. I make money through my real life, and this is like a hobby of mine, and it's brought a lot of. It's opened up a lot of doors in my life. Let's put it that way. I've met a lot of really cool people. Rotten Meat just as I told Frank on stream to repent from his sexual sins, and he laughed. Of course he did. Of course he did. He doesn't see it as a sin. People don't see it, you know? Is this stream getting a little laggy? Yeah, I think I'm gonna end here in probably a few anyways, guys. I know there's like 50 people here, but I like to cut them around 2 hours, you know? I don't want to go too long. Bucket of crabs. What's up, Meteor Man? Psycho Ballerman, what would you do if you had a gay son? Would you disown him? You know what? I can't answer that because I know I would never have a gay son. Because gay sons don't come from alpha male, straight Christian fathers. You know what I mean? That love their mothers, you know? I would make sure that my mother or my wife didn't traumatize my son, and I would make sure that he respects his father, and that's how you make a straight kid. You don't traumatize him, and make sure he doesn't get molested by an older person. Do you believe in astrology or tarot card reading? I don't know about tarot card reading, but astrology is interesting. I'm kind of on the fence with it, but there may be something to it, like with our birth dates and or that's wait, is that astrology? Yeah, our birth dates and the stars and stuff. Maybe something to it. What made someone to be gay? Would like to know that really. It's usually, from what I know, a lot of times it comes from early molestation. And then a lot of times it can come from so what a gay guy is basically a guy that adopted the spirit of a woman, and you end up becoming what you hate in life. And so a lot of times when a gay guy like resents his mother, he can become gay because he adopts the spirit. What's up, KO? Callie says, doesn't homosexuality occur in nature? You mean homosexual acts? Yeah, but like so does cannibalism and stuff, you know what I mean? And you gotta look like, I don't believe humans are animals. I think humans are animals plus. We have like a different spirit about us. We have a spirit that understands the difference between right and wrong. Whereas animals typically don't, you know? But that's when you get into like Satanism and stuff like that. It's where they want to convince you that you're on the same level as animals. And veganism always also does that too, which is very interesting. And veganism is based on the religion Hainism, which equivalates animal spirits with human spirits. So you got to be really careful about that. about equivalating humans with animals. You know what I'm saying? So I would say, to answer your question, even though homosexual acts happen in nature, which so does like cannibalism and stuff like that, and murder, doesn't mean it's right, I guess would be my answer to that. KO says, bingo, child molestation is a huge factor. Yeah, it's a major, major, major factor. Yeah, you got to look at the study they did between, I think it was like goats and sheep, where they put, so they had like two different pens of animals. This is a study on like basically homosexuality and stuff. They had two different pens of animals, goats and sheep, and they put female sheep in with the goats, and then they put male goats in with the sheep, and they like swapped them out, right? And they raised them together, right? And the males basically, like, so the male goats that got raised with the sheep started like having sex with the sheep and stuff like that. And then the female sheep that got raised with the goats started having sex with the goats, right? Just because that's all they were around, that's all they knew. And then they switched them back, right? So then they took the female sheep from the goats, put them back with the sheep. And then they took the male goats back from the sheep and put them back with the goats, right? And what they found out was that the males didn't switch back. They couldn't switch back to having sex with their original animal species. The females were able to switch back. So basically what it proved was that females are more flexible sexually, whereas males are not. So what this means is that basically if male animals are raised with different animals and they get exposed to like a sexual act during this certain window in their life, then they're going to be like that the rest of their life, right? And so this is how molestation affects gay guys, is because if they're exposed to homosexual acts during this certain window in their life, whether it's like from ages 8 to, I don't know what the window is, but from ages 8 to, let's say like 14 or something, then they're almost incapable of switching back because it's like hardwired into their brain. But they noticed that females were actually able to kind of flip-flop a little bit and go back to their original sexuality. So it's pretty fascinating. I don't know where to find that study, but the study on goats and sheep is really interesting, man. Zeta says, what do you think of the Bible saying not to eat meat raw and not to drink blood of animals? I don't know if it says that necessarily, not to drink the blood. I think what it means by not drinking the blood is, and who knows, that could be, a lot of that stuff could come from like unsanitary conditions, or like back then the animals, maybe they weren't feeding the animals the right stuff or something, and the blood was not nutritious for you. I don't believe that to be true, because I've drank blood from a couple different animals and it was fine to me. I think they're probably trying to get you to not. They're trying to get you to not practice maybe in satanic stuff. So that may have been a problem back then, and blood was associated with that. So they're trying to just get you to stay away from that. Chicken Jar says, Carl Jung talked about the anima spirit that possesses men sometimes. It's the female spirit, and it can also be seen in dreams as like an evil witch. Literally just read about that in a book. Pretty interesting, man. Brandon says, what do you think about setting up homeless people up with goats and chickens, and then picking up raw milk and worm-fed chicken eggs from them? That's pretty funny. That's interesting. I don't know if I would trust them though. You know what I mean? There's probably a reason why they're homeless. They're probably kind of irresponsible. Kylie says, how do you know what's right or wrong? Why would cannibalism be wrong too? Oh, it's just, I mean, we're all born with the instinct to know what's right and wrong. You know what I mean? Like, if you don't know that eating a human is wrong or eating like a baby or something, then that's, it's just basic. We're born with, we're born knowing what's right and wrong. Like, it's written in our hearts. You just have to listen to it, basically. You don't have to look in a Bible or like get it from a teacher or whatever. The only seafood that is allowed is fish with scales. Yeah, I wouldn't take the Bible that seriously, guys. Like, especially the Old Testament and stuff. So, because there's a lot of weird stuff in the Old Testament. You know what I mean? There's a lot of animal sacrifice and God telling his son to, or telling a guy to kill his son and stuff like that. It's a little crazy. Raw milk for life. What about those female who are attracted to female? What is your idea about that? They probably resent their mothers as well. They could have been molested too, but lesbians basically have the spirit of a male inside of them. Like I said, this is all a spiritual realm, right? And so a gay guy has the spirit of a woman, obviously. That's why you see them dressing like women. That's why they walk like women. That's why they talk like women. Lesbians have the spirit of a man. So that's why you hear them talking like men, dressing like men, trying to act like men. They're trying to mimic men because there's somehow the spirit of a man got inside of them, you know? And so they could resent their fathers. I think that could be the theory on lesbians, you know? They have a resentment towards their fathers. But it also could be a resentment towards their mothers too, because you end up basically like marrying what you hate. Like a lot of guys that hate their mothers end up marrying a woman like their mothers. It's very interesting. Definitely pay attention to that. Chicken Jar says, I actually gave a homeless guy raw milk once and his eyes opened and he started waking up from his schizophrenia mode. Wow, that's pretty interesting. I thought about giving a homeless guy milk one time, but all I had was like half gallon or gallon jars. I didn't want to like give him all my milk. I didn't know if he would appreciate it either, you know. He met me in town 4 months after that and thanked me for introducing me to raw milk. That's interesting, man. Say this is Exodus 12:9. Do not eat any of the meat raw or boiled in water. The whole animal, including the head, legs, and internal organs, must be roasted over a fire. That sounds a little satanic, doesn't it? Roasted over a fire? Alright, guys. I think we're about 2 hours. I think I'm gonna end the stream here. Appreciate everybody popping in. I might stream tomorrow if I get some time. Otherwise, I'll definitely see you guys next week. But maybe tomorrow night. Thanks for all the intriguing questions. Some good stuff tonight, guys. And everybody keep eating raw meat. God bless.